You grew up in parsonage family. How do you think that influenced you to take this step toward
Open Table Nashville?
Table?
There have been families throughout the different churches that we've served who have shown love in just extravagant ways, and have shown us love when they didn't necessarily need to, when they didn't know who we were. And especially during our first days and months and years at a church, that they just enfolded us into their community and made a place at their table for us. Always. I always felt comfort, whether I wanted to move or I didn't want to move, or whether I liked the city we were in or I didn't like the city we were in. The people always made it. They were the love part. They made a space for us, and to me, I guess that just imprinted on my heart, moving forward in life, that I was given a place at the table almost always, and how important that is for us all to have a place at the table.
Piece of it then is that you're wanting to give people a place at the table. So talk with me a little bit about that process of how you moved into this and how it's grown.
When I was young, Dad was at Belmont United Methodist Church, and there was a particular guy named Charlie who would always come into his office, and we would hang out and talk. And Charlie lived in the recycling bin outside of the church in the backyard. So that, I think, sort of planted a seed. And then the next thing I can really remember is in 8th grade going on Appalachian Service Project and being in the middle of the mountains in East Tennessee and just thinking, wow, people here are so beautiful, and why have I not heard their story before? Why have I not known that these issues were going on? Why, beyond that my family was from East Tennessee, and I knew that they were poor, but I thought maybe it was just them. But I got to see this whole new thing, and I really heard God really clearly then in 8th grade saying, this is a good place for you to be. This is where I want you right now. And so just sort of following that path throughout life and thinking, I want to hear other people's stories, and I want to hear where other people are, and I want them to be not just a part of my table, but a part of our table as a community, as a global community, as a church community. That's probably what started it, was the relationship with Charlie, and then a further relationship through the Appalachian Service Project, and then through our congregations and churches continuing to go on ASP, and then of course blossoming out into lots of other outreach opportunities.
What I hear you saying is that this sense of giving generously comes really out of relationships.
Absolutely.
Is that a fair way of talking about it?
Yeah, that's really fair. Open Table, that's our cornerstone, is relationships, and we feel like nothing can really change until you have a relationship with someone, until you hear someone's story, and until they hear your story, and until there's trust built between two people and then between a greater community. And how we each fit into that community, I think, is a big piece of what we try to make happen within Open Table, for sustainability reasons, for all of us really, but to hold each other accountable and to check in on each other and to remind each other that we're loved, and to remind each other, I mean, I have to be reminded as much as everybody else that there is a place for you at the table, and we are intentional about setting that place for you and for inviting you, but you also inviting me. So yeah, relationships is what it's all about.
And it's out of the relationships then that people are able to give more generously.
Absolutely.
Of themselves, their resources, their skills.
And you want to. How about giving $20 a month to Open Table? If everybody would give even $10 a month, we would make our budget. If everybody on our Facebook that liked us on Facebook would give $10 a month, our budget would be done, you know? Nobody gives like that. When I put on there a story about a mom and her 5 kids who are unhoused, Or if I put on there a story about a man who is struggling with addiction issues and psychological issues, and that he's in the hospital right now, and because he's in the hospital he can't pay his rent and he's going to become homeless, people give, because that's the beginning of relationships starting to build. And then we can start pairing people up with advocates, and then the relationship builds, and then all of a sudden you can't not care anymore. It's just like if somebody doesn't like somebody of a different race or gender or age or whatever, and then you get to know them, you can't not love them anymore. So yeah, it's all about building the relationship and then becoming completely involved in someone else's life that is so different from yours.